This is QTV News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Mamudu Gajaga and thanks for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. As part of their ongoing visit, the 5-member delegation from Sierra Leone's Political Parties Registration Commission paid a courtesy call on President Adama Barrow at State House on Thursday. Edrisa Mass Jobe, president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, has told young entrepreneurs that one's financial background should never determine their success in business. The Gambia's Minister of Finance, Seedy Keita, presided over the 49th meeting of the Convergence of Councils of Ministers and Governors of Central Banks on the final day of the statutory meeting of the West African monetary institutions. Thousands of dalasis worth of furniture was presented to Armitage Senior Secondary School in Janjanbureh by some of his ex-students. In international news, a group of Senegalese civil society organizations and citizens filed a complaint on Monday with the Dakar court to ask the court to up a case on the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds. And the Gambia's ambassador to Belgium has presented his letters of credence to King Philippe of the Belgians. Those were the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. As part of their ongoing visit, the 5-member delegation from Sierra Leone's Political Parties Registration Commission paid a courtesy call on President Adama Barrow at the State House on Thursday. As Loli M. Camara reports, the delegation was accompanied by some executives of the Gambia's Inter-Party Committee.
On Thursday, the delegation visited several institutions, including the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief Justice. Accompanying them to the State House were executives of the Inter-Party Committee, where the team had a closed-door meeting with the President. Abdoulaye M. Bangura, Chairman and Head of Sierra Leone's Political Parties Registration Commission, Honorable Abubakar Halifa Sallah, one of the founding fathers and co-chair of the IPC, and Honorable Aliou Kejame, Gambia's High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, respectively, shared with the press the outcome of the meeting.
We are impressed by the fact that political parties continue to dialogue, continue to interface with each other, and continue to resolve their differences internally without any external intervention.
We came to see the head of state because if you can see, one of the pillars of the IPC is that whichever government is legitimately elected should be allowed to govern according to the constitution of the country. But that government must also recognize the right of the opposition to hold it into account. So once our guests are here, we wanted them to see all the institutions of the state. We'll now be going to the Chief Justice and eventually to the National Assembly. We want them to see all the institutions of the state and see that the IPC has earned the respect of all those institutions.
So Sierra Leone is going to elections this year in June 24th. We thought before their elections, living in Sierra Leone and knowing what they are going through, the few challenges, they were encouraged the Political Parties Regulation Commission, which is an outfit of the government of Sierra Leone. So we encourage them to come to the Gambia to understudy the very excellent work that the IPC continues to do here. The main purpose of their work is essentially geared towards that.
From State House, the team proceeded to the Defense Headquarters, where they had a brief closed-door meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff, Yakuba Edrame. The Sierra Leone's Political Parties Regulation Commission had some takeaways from the CDS. The tour continued to the judiciary in Banjul, where they met the Chief Justice, Hassan B. Jallow. During the discussions, the head of the delegation hailed the Gambia's justice system, describing it as a school for other countries to learn from. The Chief Justice points out that an impartial judiciary is the foundation of any successful political transition, citing the recent democratic elections in the Gambia. In their quest to learn from the Inter-Party Committee's policies and programs on election good practices ahead of Sierra Leone's election in June this year, the 5-member delegation have so far gathered as much information as possible. on how the Inter-Party Committee of the Gambia was able to bring together all heads of the 19 political parties and candidates to sign a pledge affirming their commitment to a peaceful campaign and election in the December 4th presidential election, widely called the Janjanbureh Peace Accord. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
During a talk with Kerewan contestants on business planning, Edrisa Mass Jobe, president of the GCCI, Friday told young entrepreneurs that one's financial background should never determine their success in business. More in this report by Ansumane Sonyasi.
It is often said that the journey of life and the rise to stardom is always determined by many factors. While some make it to the top because they were born with a silver spoon, others are not, but make it by a dint of hard work and dedication. From the makeshift printing house in Banjul to owning several businesses of international repute to becoming the president of the country's business umbrella body, the business journey story of Edrisa Mass Jobe includes its share of trials and tribulations. But with an unwavering zeal to succeed, he endeavored and reached the pinnacle of business in the Gambia. The name Edrisa Mass Jobe resonates with many Gambians, especially those in the business sector. In a TED Talk style presentation with contestants of the GCCI's ongoing Kerewan Challenge, Mr. Jobe shares his life journey and offered words of encouragement and advice to the young entrepreneurs.
In life, you never know. Your success, people that are successful are people that do not have ambition. Because if you achieve your financial objective, maybe you haven't achieved your social objective. So every time there is something that you want to do that you have not achieved. And to stay that hungry, to stay that focused is important in your life. Because the day you assume that you have achieved success, you need not go to work anymore. Why? Because you are successful.
Citing his humble beginning, the highly respected GCCI president tells Kerewan contestants that one's financial background should never be an obstacle to running a successful business, adding that to ensure longevity, they will need to plan well for their businesses.
The reason I'm coming here, is to engage with you, hoping I can learn something, hoping also that you can also learn from my journey, because, if somebody like me can do things with our humble background, it means that you can do it better. When we were your age, myself, Mohammed, because Mohammed is my young brother, all of us, we didn't have what you have. Materially, we didn't have the type of salary you have. We didn't have the type of homes you have. We didn't have the cars that you have at your age. So when we were at your age, you people are much better than we were.
Once an engineer, now a powerful force in business, Edie, as he is fondly called, hopes his story will inspire this generation of Gambian entrepreneurs who are learning new ways to improve their businesses under the tutelage of the chamber.
Every day you buy internet credit. If you buy a credit for $100 or $100, you should try to make $500 out of it. Because the people that consume are the people that are poor.
His idols include India and South Africa's independence leaders, Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, an American civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr., and the highly revered Senegalese religious leader, Ahmadou Bamba, commonly known as Serigne Touba. He says he draws inspiration from these revered global figures whose work changed the course of history in their respective countries and beyond. The GCCI Kerewan Challenge is an initiative seeking to transform the mindsets of youth entrepreneurs by exposing them to a merit-based competitive process that recognizes effort and potential. It is the Gambia's first televised business plan competition and includes participants from all regions of the Gambia. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
The statutory meetings of the West African monetary institutions ended on Friday, with the Gambia's Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Seedy Keita, presiding over the 49th meeting of the Convergence of Councils of Ministers and Governors of Central Banks. The minister says the Gambia remains committed to the ECOWAS monetary integration program. Aliou Cisse has more in this story.
The 49th meeting of the Convergence Council of Ministers and Governors of Central Banks of the West African Monetary Zone marks the end of the week-long biannual statutory meetings hosted in the Gambia through the Finance Ministry and Central Bank of the Gambia. During the meetings, delegates representing central banks, finance ministries, and ECOWAS monetary institutions reviewed the macroeconomic developments and convergence reports on member states to assess the progress made towards compliance with the criteria necessary for the macroeconomic convergence within the sub-region. The most recent assessment of member states' economies indicates that none of the members had met all 4 of the primary convergence criteria as at the end of June 2022. Speaking at the start of the 49th meeting of the Convergence Council, Seedy Keita, the Gambia's finance minister, who is also the chairman of the Convergence Council, described the meetings as a continuation of the journey towards a greater regional economic and monetary integration and prosperity through a single currency for West Africa. According to Minister Keita, economic integration will foster peace, security, and harmony in the sub-region. He gave the assurance of the Gambia's full commitment to the integration program.
The country is on course and doing everything possible to meet the criteria. The inflation and public debt targets were not met due to factors which are universally known, and as the colleague ministers here can attest. The global impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis led to inflation being higher than expected globally, and the Gambia is not an exception.
Minister Keita said the Gambia remains steadfast in its effort to achieve macroeconomic stability with the implementation of sound economic policies and had taken comprehensive reforms to meet the convergence criteria.
Our ultimate goal of a shared currency in the region is within reach, and I implore all member states to join forces and bounce back from the recent challenges. With a collective effort, we believe we can make it.
Masanja Touré Lisse, Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, on behalf of the President of the ECOWAS Commission, commended and thanked the Gambia government through the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of the Gambia for successfully hosting the statutory meetings of those African monetary institutions. According to her, enhancing strong economic cooperation and integration is high on the agenda of the current administration of the ECOWAS Commission under the leadership of President Umar Aliu Touré.
I am delighted at the excellent collaboration existing between the ECOWAS Commission and the WAMS, especially in the implementation of ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program. Within this framework, the joint activities of the ECOWAS WAMI Multilateral Surveillance and the ECOWAS WAMI Joint Task Force on Trade and trade-related issues are undertaken.
As delegates prepare to return to their respective institutions with a renewed hope for a prosperous ECOWAS region, it is hoped that the resolutions from the meetings will be followed by concrete implementation to realize the aspired goals and targets. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we still have some more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
amna lu manqué de lu manqué armanti mayonnaise so amul duma lek ma ngi ñëw man ma jégi armanti noko gisé safna neexna ndax mom ci armanti mayonnaise ak sauce boko di def rek da fay neex ni la armanti mayonnaise ren la am 28 years ta cafka mosul ci tegon tankam fala ko tek ba tay man mak armanti dama ko min yalla dafa dogal armanti dafa don sama xarit
yeen jéegi réew mi néna len ñaar fukki at ak juroom ñett du fukki at ak juroom ñett dédé du ay fodé mala ñu wax li duggu len ci bépp marché bépp supermarket bépp boutique ci biir réew mi amna 500 ml 1000 ml ak 5 kg li ci gëna té dakh moy def len indil 25 grammes moy ciati mayonnaise bi amna margarine bota amna bota ice am corned beef bu yap ak bu ginar amna sardine ak banana milk armanti dal dafa complété lépp ngir noppal jéeg yi seen biir waay.
Armanti product, the good quality food.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is QTV News. Thousands of dalasis worth of furniture was presented to Armitage Senior Secondary School in Janjanbureh by its ex-students. The presentation was held at the university campus in Kanifing. Lena E. Igwenyiba reports.
The project, called Replace Your Desk and Chair at Your Alma Mater, is initiated by the class of 1970. The aim is to give back to the school that contributed so much to their lives. To further inspire and motivate the beneficiary students, the furniture, which consists of combined desks and benches, have the names and professions of the ex-students inscribed. Abdullah M. Toure is the initiator of the Replace Your Desk and Chair at Your Alma Mater initiative.
We decided some years ago to have an initiative to give back to Armitage, because we are always reminded of the adage that you make a living from what you earn, and you make a life from what you give. So giving back to Armitage is one of the ideas that we had.
Ami Kolembai, board chairperson of Armitage Senior Secondary, says the furniture will provide a conducive learning environment where students can sit comfortably and concentrate on learning.
This gesture is a clear testimony that Armitage alumni recognizes the value of staying connected with the school at every stage and are inspiring increased pride and greater understanding of the school's mission and impact. The result of this engagement, pride and support, is benefiting every aspect of the school and empowering our students to achieve holistic quality education.
Alhaji Jallo, Principal Education Officer at MOPSI, applauds the initiative.
This is a very good booster, and we believe that it will go a long way, right, to improve the enabling environment that will contribute towards enhancing quality teaching and learning.
Sekuna Sibi, the principal of Armitage Senior Secondary, expresses delight and called on others to emulate the class of 1970.
And as an adage from education is that a place where a child sits and learns calls for learning. So all materials should be there for a child to learn. So this is a noble example that we are providing for our students in Armitage to learn. We appreciate your effort, and we are calling on others to emulate what you have done today. We wish your support. I know government alone cannot do it. We are calling on all ex-students. I know some of you are well pleased.
Armitage Senior Secondary School, formerly Armitage High School, was established in 1927 by the British governor, Cecil Hamilton Armitage, in Georgetown, now called Janjanbureh. It is one of the oldest schools in the Gambia. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Gwenyiba.
Women vegetable gardeners in Kerewan Sitokoto in the Central River region say they are preparing for the new garden season after they finished harvesting rice in their fields. Our regional correspondent Bakari Balde engaged them and filed this report.
Kerewan Sitokoto village in Yanija district. It is approximately 9 kilometers from the main highway. The women do vegetable production to earn extra income after the rice season. In this 3-hectare garden, young and elderly women are busy engaging in various activities to start production. Fatou Barrow, the women's leader, applauds NEMA and the Roots projects under the Ministry of Agriculture for supporting them. She speaks about the significance of vegetable production.
The onions have started sprouting. We are grateful for the project because this will be a big boost and achievement for us. At the moment, this will enhance the development of the village, and that will be delightful to us.
Mariama Jaite, a member of the local coordinating committee of the vegetable garden, highlighted how the garden will be beneficial to the community and further urged her fellow women to make the best use of the season.
I will urge them to keep it up, because one must suffer before one can get anything good. Let them join us here so that we can all come together and work. There will be a reward for the work. Whatever one does should be beneficial. If there is no benefit, there is no need to do it.
Use it adequate and appropriate fertilizer, help plants produce high yield. Mam Danso, who works in this garden, says they use organic manure to boost production. Mohamed Kamaso, the garden manager, also spoke to us about activities at the garden.
Going by the advice of our experts, we have seen that the planting is being done the right way, and the number of plants to be planted in a particular place, and the number of onions that should be planted in a particular place are all okay. And also, the time of watering the plants, which is in the afternoon. That is what we do in our garden.
Alhaji Mamad Kamara, who spoke on behalf of the village alcalo, pleaded for help.
It is hard when you harvest your produce and you don't have a market to sell them. So the women used to carry it around and try to sell them. Alhamdulillah, they are helping us here. If not, it will be too bad for us. So we are asking for help before that time comes so that we put things in place, so that our produce will not go waste and we can all get what we want. Our challenge is water. We don't have enough water. We have a tank, but it cannot hold enough water to provide for all the plants.
In 3 months, these women expect to harvest their produce and are hoping for a bumper harvest. However, they lament the lack of good markets and better storage facilities to avoid wastage. Reporting for QTV News, I am Bahri Balde.
From that story, now to international news. A group of Senegalese civil society organizations and citizens filed a complaint on Monday with the Dakar court to ask the court to take up a case on the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds. Janjanbureh tells us more.
The move by Sunyo Ay Milliard Dores, Our Millions Will Not Disappear, follows the publication of a report by the Court of Auditors at the end of December relating to the management of COVID response funds in 2020 and 2021. The audit of the Court of Accounts of Senegal studied the expenditures made in 2020 and 2021 from the COVID-19 response fund. The audit institution reports that the budget amounted to more than 1.1 billion euros financed by donors and the state. The audit reveals about 30 million euros total expenditure by various ministries which did not relate to COVID-19. According to French broadcaster RFI's journalists, the complaint demands a judicial investigation of the people mentioned in the auditor's court report. The complaint by the civil society organization Sunyo Ay Milliard Dores will be filed with the public prosecutor, and the collective is encouraging citizens to file the same complaint individually. During his address to the nation on New Year's Eve 2022 and referencing the alleged misuse of COVID-19 funds, President Macky Sall vowed justice will take its due course. The Dakar prosecutor said preliminary investigations had been opened, vowing to prosecute all those involved in the fund's mismanagement. Many officials in sub-Saharan Africa are suspected of misappropriating or mismanaging funds dedicated to fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. And similar allegations of these in Senegal have been made in Ghana, Cameroon, Guinea, the Gambia, and South Africa, amongst other countries. For QTV News, I am Janjanbureh.
Accompanied by a small delegation, embassy staff, the Gambia's ambassador presented his letters of credence to King Philippe of Belgium. Mohamed Balde has the rest of the story.
The ceremony at the Belgian Royal Palace was followed by a closed-door meeting between the two, in which they discussed several topics aimed at strengthening the ties between the two nations. Among the various topics discussed were the planned expansion of the Gambian ports, the impact of the war in Ukraine, and efforts towards post-COVID recovery. The ambassador also relayed President Barrow's warm greetings to King Philippe and his intention to sustain the Gambia's newfound democracy and the need for Belgian support in achieving that. King Philippe fondly recalled meeting President Adama Barrow in 2018 during the International Conference on the Gambia. Pa Moussa Jabate is the former Deputy Director General of the Gambia State Intelligence Services, SIS. Reporting for QTV News, I am Mohamed Balde.
Now, before the end of this news bulletin, let's have a recap of our main news headlines. As part of their ongoing visit, the 5-member delegation from Sierra Leone's Political Parties Registration Commission paid a courtesy call on President Adama Barrow at the State House.